Alright, got my remote controller. Let's go ahead and start with the morning with some news. You are now watching Caffrey Class Network News, where in this article, we talk about addiction. Hello everybody, my name is David Delgado. I'm going to be your host for the Caffrey Class Network of our first episode, where we're going to be talking about addiction. Now, before we start, I want to make a disclaimer. We are not CNN. CNN, please don't, wherever you are, please don't copyright this video, please. Because you know what? We are better than you, CNN. We are not trying to copy you. We are our own news network where we do everything our rules because psychology rules. So as I was saying before I went off tangent there, today we're going to be talking about addiction. And before you think about it, no, we're not talking about the My Strange Addiction episodes or My Strange Obsession or me with my addiction with coffee or actually, that could be addiction. Anyways, but they all have to do with addiction. Speaking of which, when we talk about addiction, there's actually a really huge argument going on when we talk about it because there's two sides of the argument. One, whether it being, is it a medical condition or a disease? Is this something that our bodies can be prone to? Like once we take that in, it just immediately becomes a disease. It's something that happens in our bodies that makes us want to crave more and more and more of it. Whether that be drugs, whether that be alcohol, or that be smoking, or just even something small like coffee, like I was just mentioning about, which I don't have here, by the way, or just something that you really enjoy, like that nice savory ice cream cone at Cold Stone, but I'm getting a little off tangent again. But, or also there's the other side, is it a moral defect? Is it something that we as individuals solely, consciously, wholeheartedly choose to do? Because either is it a choice that we can get that cup of coffee, or is it just something that our body... Hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay. Wow. Actually, speaking about this topic, we actually have people out there in the field interviewing people about what they think of the subject matter. And we actually have some of our reporters out there, too, that actually looked at some of the experts' summaries of what they wrote about in their findings. And they're actually going to go ahead and tell us some more about that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to them.
Welcome. My name is Brianna, and I'm going to be discussing the stigmatization of addiction, specifically opioid addiction. According to Dr. Kimberly Goodyear and Dr. David Chivan in their article, Sociodemographic Characteristics in the Stigmatization of Prescription Opioid Addiction, stigma can take the form of an attitude, attribute, or a shared belief about a behavior. Stigmas are typically negative, and they can be directed toward anyone or anything, such as mental illness or addiction. It was reported that those struggling with prescription opioid misuse are typically met with public support, while those labeled as drug addicts receive public stigma. This stigmatization is the very thing driving addicts away from seeking help, seeing as only 20% of 11 million opioid misusers in 2016 received treatment for their misuse. This is because when they do seek aid, they become susceptible to mistreatment by healthcare and support systems because of the negative attitudes and beliefs towards them. Factors such as gender, race, mental illness, and financial income play major roles in this. To understand why, Dr. Goodyear and Dr. Chivan conducted a study in which they investigated the relationship between participants' sociodemographic characteristics and the degree to which they stigmatize people with an opioid addiction. In their study, they used vignettes that described hypothetical individuals addicted to opioids, varying only in gender, language dubbing them as either a drug addict or an individual with an opioid use disorder, and whether they're prescribed opioids or not. Goodyear and Chivan measured the positive and negative effects the vignettes had on participants and found that those who were white, male, low income, college graduates, or younger rated the vignettes with lower stigma. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Well, that's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Brianna, signing off.
Hi, my name is Lauren Ernest, and today we'll be talking about an article called Medical Disease or Moral Defeat, Stigma, Attribution and Cultural Model of Addiction in University Population. It talks about the stigma of drugs and how it affects young college students. It was written around 2019 by Nicole L. Henderson and William W. Dresser. In the article, it states that college students from the age of 18 to 25 are at risk of substance use disorder. A university life can often be an entrance to an increased risk of alcohol or substances. About 28% of university students can be at risk of substance use disorder, but only 3.9% get treated. Henderson and Dresser say that people tend to view drug addiction in a negative way, not seeing that it is a health problem that has many causes such as abuse, mental illness, genetics, or just the way that you could be raised.
Today we are here at the Turner Co. Small, and we are here to answer one question and one question only. Is addiction a medical disease or a moral defect? And today we have someone here to interview. What is your name, Vincent?
My name is Caden Vincent.
Caden Vincent. Okay, Caden Vincent. What do you think is the answer to this question? In your opinion, do you think addiction is a moral defect or is it a medical issue?
I think it's a moral defect because addiction is something that's like your brain isn't able to overcome the idea of having this thing, like let's say video games or drugs, whatever it may be. It's like the lack of the happy feelings of dopamine, serotonin, and that you want more of that. So it's more like a self-control, and without it, you have the addiction.
Yes.
So I think it's more of a moral thing than a medical thing. Sometimes it could turn into a medical thing, but that's dependent on what it is and how far it is into it.
Okay, of course. Now, what do you say in the terms of medical drug use? Do you think that's a medical disease or more of a moral defect?
Medical drug use,
yes.
like marijuana drug use, or like
Yes, because some people
pills.
can get addicted to pills like painkillers.
Oh, well,
and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
That would be on the fault of the medical corporation, like them giving you drugs that are addictive and giving you the amounts that you would get addicted to. That'd be on them versus on you.
Okay.
But continuing to be addicted is still a moral thing.
Okay.
It's like you still can't stop yourself when you're addicted now. It's their fault, but it's your job to stop it.
Okay, of course.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you for your time, sir.
No problem.
Continue with your day. Have a good one, man.
I want to know your thoughts about the stigmatization of drugs and its moral values in society, and just your overall thoughts behind that.
Me first? Or
You can go first. Sure. Yeah, you go first.
I meant Marissa. I am on the fence. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing either. I don't think it's it could be a good thing if used correctly. But I am on the fence. I am a neutral. I don't care. If you abuse it, then I feel like it will work for you. But if you use it how it's intended, then it could work for you possibly. So I am a neutral ground.
Okay.
Marissa. So, the stigmatization, if that's how you say it, is definitely real of drugs. It's very upsetting because I feel like it's misjudged. Like people who do drugs are looked at as gross and dirty and bad people, and they must steal things too, and just all around they're morally messed up. And I don't believe that to be true. Definitely a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
The Square, and we are here with another person that I'm going to interview to answer the question. Okay, so Shreki, do you think that addiction is a moral defect or is it a medical issue?
It definitely has to be a medical issue because hospitals are the ones that put you on that prescription or drug in the first place, so it makes it harder for you to get off of it since they keep on prescribing.
Okay, so that's medical drugs, correct?
Definitely.
Okay, what about addiction that isn't medical, like cocaine or any other kind of drug that's like not prescribed by the doctors?
Well, still, normally it's people who were sometimes it's originally people who were on those drugs, and then they get those drugs for people who are being prescribed those drugs, or who want to make a quick buck, or some drug addicts. They just need help.
Okay. Alright. So that's another answer to the question that we got. Alright, thank you for joining us today, Shreki. Thank you so much.
Alrighty guys, well there you have it. We really hope you learned something from this video about talking about addiction. And again, just like we mentioned before, there's always going to be two sides of this argument, and this argument will never ever truly be resolved, because this can be done on a case-on-case different basis with different types of people, because everyone come from different places and have different problems and just have different circumstances. And whether or not you came in this video coming in, whether you just had one side where you thought it was a medical condition, or you thought the other side where it was just more moral defect, we certainly hope that we gave you guys some more insight of more to your point, or even give more light to the other side, and hopefully you guys can consider both sides, and you guys can go ahead and make your conclusion, or your standpoint, or your argument to keep going on with the debate, because this debate will always keep going. This is Caffrey Class Network News, guys. This is David Delgado signing off, and we really hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will be seeing you on the other articles with our other experts out there in the field. Keep on thinking. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you guys want to see more articles from different types of people, please click on the Caffrey Class News Network channel and click on other videos to see other students on their takes of their articles.